Today on Northern Revolutions, I'm going to talk about some albums that are not available on vinyl, but I really wish they were. So stay tuned. Hey, vinyl community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. So today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to show some CDs. Yes, I have a lot of CDs. I don't buy any CDs generally anymore. I also don't listen to them that much. But I was listening to an album the other day that I only have on CD. It doesn't exist on vinyl. And I thought, I know that I've got a few of these that I really wish would make its way to vinyl. I did a video a few months after I joined YouTube where I talked about albums that I wish I owned, but I don't because they're too expensive or they're impossible to find, but they do exist on vinyl. These are ones that have never been made on vinyl. I've checked Discogs. There is no listing for them on vinyl. So I'm going to share them with you today. I just picked, I think there's maybe 8 or 10 here out of my CD collection in no particular order. This is an album by the Dustin Bentall outfit. It's called Six Shooter. Dustin is a singer-songwriter from Western Canada. His dad was a famous Canadian musician in the 90s. He was in a rock band called Barney Bentall and the Legendary Hearts. This is Dustin's second record. It was self-released. An absolutely great stoner rock slash country record. It's awesome. I know Dustin. This is was his girlfriend at the time, Kendall Carson, who I know as well. Guest star on this album was an amazing Canadian guitar player, Luke Doucette, from a band called Whitehorse. He plays on this record. Another guy that I know, Del Cowsill of the Cowsills. His dad was Billy Cowsill. He plays bass on this record. It is a absolutely fantastic rock, country rock, stoner rock album. Don't want to say, I wish this would come out on vinyl. It's not going to. Obviously, Dustin self-released this, so he wasn't on a label, and I don't believe he is at the moment. So this will never see release beyond this CD release, but great record. In that same vein of Canadian bands you've never heard of, sorry, it's my thing. This is an album by a band called The Heartbroken. It's called Tonight Tonight. This was their debut from 2010. This is The Heartbroken here. Fronted by Davnit Doyle, a singer-songwriter from Eastern Canada, I believe. Has a solo career in her own right. Wonderful, again, rootsy rock kind of thing, which, again, that's my wheelhouse. Their second album, which is called Storm Clouds, it is available on vinyl. I've shown it before. This came out, like I said, 2010. It's never going to see the light of day on vinyl, but you can get it on digital, you can get it on CD. Just a great, I don't really know what to compare it to, but it's a contemporary rock with a little bit of roots in there. Enjoyable record. The next one is a band that gets mentioned fairly regularly in the VC, especially as of late. This is the Sadies. Sadies are a alternative psychedelic rock country. Yeah, they're whatever. That's kind of what they are. They've received a lot of mention lately. They put out an album a few months back just after lead singer Dallas Good unexpectedly passed away. Um, I mean, these guys are amazing. They are from Toronto, but they've been fairly successful across North America. Mazzy did a whole video about how awesome these guys are, so go check that out. This is I believe this was their second or third album. It's called Tremendous Efforts. It's from 2001. This was actually my introduction to the Sadies. This is when I got into them. This is when I saw them. I had the privilege of seeing these guys in a restaurant bar kind of deal in the town that I live in. There was 20 people at the show. And now they play to thousands of people. So I was quite fortunate for that. This is a great, there's a lot of country in here, but it's very, very electric country, very loud, also sort of psychedelic as well. Highlight on here for me, the second track in here is called Love Don't Look. I believe that was an Elvis song, but in this version, it's them with Greg Keeler, who's one of the frontmen of Blue Rodeo. Absolutely rockin', raw, boisterous. It's phenomenal. I think this is the best Sadies record. Probably never gonna see release on vinyl simply because this was put out on Bloodshot Records 21 years ago. They're no longer on Bloodshot Records. They're now on Yap Rock. So I don't think we're ever going to see a vinyl release of this. I really wish we would. It's one of, I think, maybe 3 of their albums that's not on vinyl. Everything else is. But here's hoping. Tremendous Efforts by the Sadies. Okay, here's something a little more mainstream. Like very mainstream. The soundtrack to the film That Thing You Do, which is a Tom Hanks written, directed, and starred in movie about a fictional rock band that are one-hit wonders. That Thing You Do is a fantastic movie. Came out in 96. Tom Hanks, Liv Tyler, Stephen Zahn, Ethan Embry. Yeah, great. I love this movie. It takes place in the 60s, and Hanks did an incredible job of making it feel like it was the 60s. All original soundtrack on here. The title song, That Thing You Do, was written by Adam Schlesinger, I believe was his name, from Fountains of Wayne, who died at the beginning of COVID. There was talk during the pandemic that this would get a release on vinyl. They talked about it. They did a digital screening of the movie with the cast online. There was a big hoopla about this. They even posted on somebody's Instagram feed that the masters were sent to be pressed on vinyl. It never happened. You can get the single on vinyl, but not the album. I really wish it would. I'm not a big fan of soundtracks, but this incredible movie, an even better soundtrack. It's that 60s rock pop kind of, stuff. I really wish it was on vinyl. Next up is an album by a band that I've talked about several times on my channel. This is Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. This is their album, This Is Somewhere, which was their second album from 2007. Grace Potter and the Nocturnals was a sort of 70s flavored blues rock band from Vermont, fronted by Grace Potter. They were phenomenal. I've seen them. I've met Grace. One of my favorite bands of all time. And then they weren't. Essentially, Grace got delusions of grandeur and blew up this band, among other things, only to go solo. While her current solo record did actually receive a Grammy nomination, it still does not hold a candle to what she did with the Nocturnals. Nevertheless, this was their album from 2007, and I might argue it's probably their best, I think. Um, some amazing songs in here. Ah Mary, I think, was the single. Mr. Columbus was probably my favorite, or Mastermind. Big White Gate was a very powerful song she wrote to her grandmother on her deathbed. Just a great rock and roll record. They don't make rock and roll like this anymore. Um, so this came out in 2007 on Hollywood Records, only on CD. Her last two albums, the self-titled album and The Lion, the Beast, the Beat, they were out on vinyl, but this one was not. So given that the band no longer exists, nor are they on speaking terms with Grace, this is never going to see a vinyl release, but a hell of a rock record. Band I talk about all the time that no one cares about, but I'm going to keep talking about them anyway because they're my favorite. These fellas, Blue Rodeo. I've shown many of the records before. I've done some Blue Rodeo videos. The first half of their career is on vinyl and a little bit from the last portion of it, but there's a chunk in the middle that's missing. One of them is this album. It's called Nowhere to Hear. It's from 1995. For those that haven't seen me ramble about Blue Rodeo 15 times already, they are a country rock band from Toronto. They are a mainstay of Canadian music. They're Canadian music royalty. They've been around 30 some odd years. This is a very transitional album for them. This bridges the gap between some of their very acoustic-y rock stuff from like 5 Days in July and Tremolo to some of their more later stuff. But out of all of their albums, this is their rock record. And this is awesome. I don't rank it as one of my favorites because there's a few songs on here that they're not bad. They're just too abstract for me. So you've got two singer-songwriters in this band, Greg Keeler and Jim Cuddy. Jim is the more radio-friendly. Greg is he's the Lennon to Jim's Paul McCartney. The Greg stuff on here, some of it is weird, like weird prog, but not experiment. I don't even know how to, just weird. And the Jim stuff is incredible. Amongst that, though, are some of the best. This is a solidly guitar rock album. Side of the Road, Better Off As We Are, Armor, Train, just some great songs here. Some very weird, trippy stuff like Flaming Bed and Girl in Green, but they're your concert jams. So if I could pick one Blue Rodeo record that's not on vinyl, it's this one. Will it ever see a vinyl release? I hope. It's in the hands of Warner Music. I've asked the band about it. They want it out on vinyl like the rest of their catalog, but not up to them. So Mike, PC31, the Vinyl Policeman, if you're watching, I know you had a Blue Rodeo video or Blue Rodeo CD in your last video based on my recommendation. Knowing your taste from seeing your videos, this is the one you need to get. Your mind will be blown, I promise. Another CD from, I guess, my teenage years. This brings back a lot of memories. This is a band called Great Big Sea from Newfoundland, Canada. They're folk pop rock. Awesome. They had some success in the States. This is their debut album from 97. It's called Play. Has their two biggest hits on here, Ordinary Day and When I'm Up, I Can't Get Down. It's a mixture of traditional East Coast folk music and self-written, folk rock stuff. I have a lot of memories of this record. I love it. will not come out on vinyl. The band broke up years ago. Some tensions between Alan Doyle and Sean McCann. Alan Doyle is still touring solo to this day and is arguably probably the hardest touring musician in this country. This is a great folk rock record. Never going to happen on vinyl, but I really wish it would. And this is the album that inspired this video. This is Melanie Doan. This is her album Adam's Rib from 1998. A lot of these are 90s records. Imagine that. This is a great 90s rock record. Melanie is a great singer-songwriter. She also plays fiddle. She plays guitar. If I could say this was akin to something that people would recognize, do you remember the one-hit wonder Bitch by Meredith Brooks? It's like that, except that Melanie can sing way better and write way better songs. That's what this is like. It's so, so good. Don't think it will ever come out on vinyl. I don't believe that Melanie is actively touring. She teaches ukulele for kids now. So I don't think she's actively touring or recording stuff. So I doubt that her contract with Columbia still exists. So I doubt that this will ever see the light of day on vinyl. Boy, do I hope so, because it is a absolute banger of an album. Adam's Rib is the name of the album. Adam's Rib is the lead single. It's awesome. Happy Homemaker, Goliath, those were the singles. There's some other amazing songs off here. Waiting for the Tide, There Is No Beautiful. Oh boy, what else? How You Cried. I mean, every song in here is phenomenal. Love this record. Go search it out. I'm sure you can download it somewhere. Awesome. Melanie Doan, Adam's Rib. Okay, and last but not least, a band everybody's familiar with, Aerosmith. This is their double live album, A Little South of Sanity, from 1998. I really wish this was on vinyl. A couple reasons. I love Aerosmith. And I love live records. I know this didn't get favorable reviews among the critics, so they sort of panned it as whatever. This was taken, all these live recordings were taken from their Nine Lives tour and from their Get a Grip tour before that. I think I really like it. There seems to be, especially in the vinyl community, no one seems to like the Aerosmith of the late 80s and into the 90s. Everyone says, the early Aerosmith is better, and I see what they're saying. I like all Aerosmith, but I like to give love to the later period Aerosmith. You got to remember when Pump and Get a Grip and that came out, I was like, 12, 14. So that later period Aerosmith was my Aerosmith, as the early Aerosmith was to most of the other people in the vinyl community. So I like this period of Aerosmith, and I enjoy this live record, and I think it would make a great double LP. Will it happen? Probably not. I doubt it. Instead, we get the most recent, the Live at Donington, which frankly sucks. I don't own it, but I've heard it, and it's not a great performance. This is vastly better. So I don't know. I hope it would come out someday, but probably not. There you go, folks. There's a look at, I think 10 albums that I have on CD that have never been made on vinyl. I hope some of them someday might, but it's doubtful. Anyway, just fun look at some I wish they were. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments if you'd like. I'll catch you on the flip side.